Hey guys, what is up? It's your boy Frozen here again with a new video. We're going to be learning how to mask along with using what we learned last time a little bit in this tutorial. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Let's get into this tutorial. So first things first, let's go to File, New, and then let's open a file 1280 by 720 pixels, and we're going to make the background white because we're not going to be worrying too much about the background. Press OK, and now I'm going to go to my images that I have here. One of Nick Cage and one of Jack Sparrow, aka Johnny Depp. And I chose these two pictures because this image right here is really easy to cut out from the background, because the background for this image is nice and bright, so it's really easy to make a selection when the background is a lot different than the foreground. And for Nick Cage, I chose this image because it's a little bit harder, because right around here, the background and Nick Cage kind of get blended in. But right here, it'll be fine because it's really distinct in terms of what the background is and what the foreground is. And hopefully we can make a good selection here. Otherwise, I'll show you what I usually do if I'm trying to make a selection and I can't quite make it, so I have to manually go in and do it. So let's get into this masking tutorial. Of course, there's a bunch of different ways to mask, but today we're going to be using the quick selection tool. And the way I'm going to show you to mask today is just a quick, easy, dirty way to learn how to mask. So after you click on the quick selection tool here, make sure you're on the Jack Sparrow layer if you are masking out Jack Sparrow. Otherwise, you know, whatever celebrity you want to cut out, and make sure you make a good selection in the beginning. You have a general shape of the thing you're trying to cut out of the foreground. So now that I have a pretty good selection of Jack Sparrow here, I'm gonna go to right click and go to refine edges. That way I can see what I cut out. And right now it's not bad, you know, did a pretty good job here. We can make a little bit better and go in and refine the edges by just dragging the mouse around the edge of Jack Sparrow. And you can change the brush size by clicking the bracket buttons above the enter key and have it, I don't have it too small. And just in case, you know, say you mess up and something is removed that you didn't want to remove, you can press the Alt button and bring it back. And of course, if you want a really good selection, take your time and go in carefully. But for this tutorial where you have to, you know, speed things up, just give you the general gist of it. But if you want a better selection, take your time and make a good selection. Let's see how that looks. It's not looking bad. I like it. So after I made my selection, go to Output 2 and go to New Layer with Layer Mask. And the reason we do that is so that we don't ruin our original picture. So that way, say we don't like this layer mask here, we always have our original to go back to and we can make changes to or just make a new mask. So right now it looks pretty good. We made our changes and we have our layer mask right here. So if you want to go in and make some more changes, say like you know, right here you can see this halo effect around Jack. We can go in with our brush, make sure press B, go to your brush and make sure you have the black and white colors on your foreground and background color here, and you can switch between those two colors by pressing X. Make sure you're on your mask layer and you can go in with black and then take out the halo effect. For sometimes you get that when you are masking, it's not able to get every little pixel from the image. So go in carefully and do that. But luckily this picture is white, so we don't have to do that in this image. And plus this is going to be a YouTube thumbnail, so it's going to be generally pretty small and it's not like a fine art thing. So let's just keep it like that for now. So what I did right now, sorry guys, I'm like jumping ahead of myself, Control T and then Shift and then hold a corner and drag it down. That way it will make the image small proportionately. Otherwise, if you don't press Shift, it'll just be any old size, but let's not do that. Let's let's Shift and then drag. So let's put Jack in the corner right here, turn that layer off for now, and let's bring Nicolas Cage to the foreground of this project. Again, let's go to the quick selection tool and drag over Nick Cage here, and see, notice how it started selecting the background. It's because it can't differentiate between the background and Nick Cage's head and shoulder here. And this image is a lower res image, so the edges are going to be a little bit pixelated and harder to select. So yeah, right now, trouble with differentiating Nick Cage's head from the background, but we will go in manually probably and make adjustments to it. But let's see how much we can refine edges. Let's turn on smart filter, the smart radius filter, and just select the edges here. All right, we have a lot of no good going on right now. So let's go back to this red layer, and I'm gonna hit Alt and then just start subtracting things that I took away from Nick Cage's head and shoulder over here, and get as much detail back in the places I need them to be. And then we will go back in on the masking layer and just make adjustments. All right, so that is pretty terrible right now. You can see that his head's all cut off, and right here is all badness and stuff. But don't worry, guys, we will make some changes and make it a little bit better. Let's go to new layer with layer mask again, hit OK. Now we have the same thing going on where we have original image intact, and then we have this new layer with a layer mask. So zoom in, Control plus sign, or however you want to zoom in. Go to your brush tool, click on your layer mask for Nick Cage, and let's press X in this case and just see where his head is here. Just bring the detail back so we can just see everything. The problem with this image is it's so pixelated, it's hard to tell exactly where his head ends and the background starts. However, this is a YouTube thumbnail. Doesn't have to be a super fine detail, so we're just gonna bring as much detail back as we can so it doesn't look jaggedy. And right now I'm using a soft brush. I like to use soft brushes when I'm making layer mask selections because a hard edge, you know, is kind of ugly and doesn't look really good. I'll use it right now. It's really sharp. If you're really careful with it, there is a time to use it, of course, you know, if you're trying to get in really close detail, but I like to start off with a soft brush and then work my way to a hard brush for more fine detailed areas. So I'm gonna go back to a soft brush, and generally for this image I'm just gonna keep a soft brush because I just want a soft edge to this guy. And we're gonna, you know, make it cheesy, put a thought bubble, them thinking about how to layer mask. Let's take a little bit of the background here. Take your time. A lot of this stuff is like just time consuming. And make sure if you're shooting your picture and you know you're gonna cut stuff out, try to shoot on a background that contrasts from your foreground image, so that way you can cut it out more easily. I'm like cheating on these edges, not doing such a good job. I think it's fine. So it looks pretty good in comparison to before. What is this over here? So let's turn on our Jack Sparrow layer and adjust the size of our Nick Cage layer here. There is a little piece right here that we didn't get. All right, so press Control T. Let's make him a little bit smaller. Shift, drag, make him smaller, and we want him to be the same size as my boy Jack. And let's drag him over here and Control T again. And we're gonna flip him horizontally so he's making some good eye contact. Yeah. Oh, you guys can see this top edge right here. Let's get rid of that. Have your black color on. Make sure you're on the layer mask and just take that right out. All right, let's add some text that we used last time. Let's incorporate it into this tutorial too. Add your favorite word or phrase by pressing T and then typing in, you know, a word. Right now, you know, this comes to mind. Let's Control T, let's make it a little bit bigger, put it off into the corner, and let's add learning how to mask, exclamation point, because it's a very exciting tutorial, life-changing tutorial here. And let's go down to the ellipse tool and make an ellipse. And let's change the fill to white here, and then drag down one layer so that way we can actually see our words, and then double click, add a drop shadow. I like that drop shadow, it's not bad. Have the opacity halfway, distance at 12, spread at 11, size at 8. And then I'm going to adjust the size of this because it is a little bit small. So hit Control and then select the learning to mask layer and the ellipse tool, and then Control T, and then drag, shift drag to make it bigger. And let's put it a little bit over here. Now let's make a little bit of like a dot bubbles coming from these guys' head. So let's make a little circle here, change the fill to white. Let's add a drop shadow, and then we'll do Control J, duplicate it. Let's adjust it down a little bit below, make that a little bit smaller, and then Control J again, bring that down a little bit more, and move these a little bit. All right, make that Control T, shift, make it a little bit smaller so it looks like, you know, these guys are thinking. And then what we will do, since I don't want to make another set of these bubbles, we're going to be doing Control J. We'll duplicate that, all these 3 dots, by selecting ellipses 2, copy 2 to ellipse 2. And the way you do that is Control, and then you select the different layers you want to duplicate at once. So once you do that, Control J, once I have my copied ellipses selected, I'm going to convert to smart object and rasterize layers. And I know this is destructive editing here because this is kind of a small step. And then Control T, and we're going to flip it horizontally. And that way we don't have to make another set of thought bubbles. Let's add a square, a rectangle, I suppose, to FrozenBob here. Drag that below that word and put a drop shadow on it. I love putting drop shadows and stuff, guys. Drop shadow on that, drop shadow on FrozenBob. And just like that, guys, we have a ready to go thumbnail for the internet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about masking. And of course, if you want to make a really, really good selection, take your time. It takes a lot of time and patience sometimes to get a really good selection, but hopefully this gives you a good idea of how to mask using the quick select tool. And in the future, I'll show you other ways to make good selections with like the magic wand tool and stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and leave any questions or comments you have down in the comments below. And I will see you guys in the future. Take care and have a good day. Peace.